So is there any relationship between cancer and other diseases and the subpersonalities themselves?
Our experience is that the blockage of emotion and feeling provides very, very strong breakdown to the physical body. Imagine that when you have a disowned self that has to do with instincts and emotions, you know, being able to tell people how you really feel, expressing your anger, being able to do what you want in the world more. When all of that is blocked, then you have to, from the primary self, constantly be sitting on top of that, fearful that it's going to break out. So if your primary self is being very responsible and taking care of people, then you're always exhausting yourself, literally exhausting your adrenals in trying to keep away the selves that have to do with breaking out and being free. Or if you have a very strong pusher as a primary self that's pushing you always to make money and to get ahead, then you're also killing the parts of you that want to play and have fun and enjoy life and live life on your terms. So literally you are applying pressure to maintain the status quo and to stop these selves from coming through. And that exhausts the adrenal glands, it exhausts the physical body at many, many levels. And our experience is, and much research has shown, that a lot of physical breakdowns occur because of that. We don't like to talk about cause, and this causes that. We can only say that we find these patterns over and over and over again in the people that we work with. Remember that every self is a certain kind of energy. Pleasing is an energy, anger is an energy, everything is some use of energy. Imagine now that somebody is identified with being a mother and taking care of people and pleasing people. The disowned self is locked in a box. Okay, the box is some kind of, imagine a snake, a powerful snake. Through the years, many nails have been driven in that box, so that snake is locked in there very, very strongly. As the person gets older and identifies more and more with the primary self of mother and taking care of people, that snake is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It doesn't get smaller just because it isn't being used. All that power is growing and growing and growing, but it's growing inside of us. It's growing us locked in the unconscious. Now, the primary self is terrified of that snake power. The primary self is terrified of having that box open because it's afraid that if that snake gets out, then you'll just become a worthless, selfish human being the way your mother was or your father was, or whatever the reasons are that you had to kill that thing when you were younger. So what happens when that snake gets very, very big and very, very powerful is it affects us not just psychologically but physically, because you have to literally put your arms on the box to keep the snake inside. You literally exhaust your psychophysiology holding down the lid to the box. In 1952, Bruno Klopfer, who was a psychologist and Rorschach expert, did a research study on cancer. And what he demonstrated was that, in his view, that a lot of cancer came because people expended huge amounts of energy holding back their emotional life. He did this through the Rorschach. In our framing of this, you see, we see a similar thing happening on a health level. Every disowned self is like a snake in a box, and you have to sit on top of it and push harder and harder as you get older in order to not let that power out. And what we're trying to teach people to do is to let that power out a very little bit at a time in a very safe way so they can have available that power.
To do with as they please.
Exactly.
To pick up that image of the snake in the box, you're using a tremendous amount of power to keep the snake in the box. And on top of that, you're losing the power of the snake. Every disowned self has a specific piece of information for us, has a specific kind of knowledge, has a specific energy. It adds to the system. Everything we don't use is a loss. And again, it's not a question of letting things overrun us. We do want to hold on to the steering wheel of the car. But it's a question of making use of all the passengers and their input and their energies and their perspectives.